I was laying on my right side, and I felt different. I couldn't feel my body. I was like paralyzed. The only thing that I could move was my eyes. I couldn't speak. I was in my head was screaming for Dan to help me because I thought something was really wrong with me. I was just paralyzed. And we both just sat straight up in the bed and said, what the hell was it? And Heather was in her crib just standing there, and her eyes were huge. I didn't know what had happened, but we just held each other and fell asleep. The conscious memories just came. I mean, they just came back. There wasn't anything that I could do to stop them from coming back. And after I had those was whenever I went to see John myself.
I began working with both of them and found that they had shared an experience which was indeed traumatic and indeed bizarre at the same time. As I began to realize that they were sharing this experience, there was no doubt in my mind it had to be a real event causing such emotion, and by dealing with it, causing such relief.
There were 3 of them, and one of them touched my arm, and I sat up on the bed. I watched him take Heather. That was the most god-awful feeling, because they're in such control of you, you can't do anything. You're watching a kidnapper kidnap your child, and you can't do anything, and you're standing there.
Under separate hypnosis, Dan's wife, Joyce, recalled the same sequence of events. They both say little beings marched them outside, and together the family was floated onto a spaceship.
I never wanted it to happen to my children. I didn't realize until later that it had. But when they took her, I couldn't do anything. I turned my head to the right, and this taller being came over. And he kept telling me that it would be okay, that they wouldn't hurt me. And then they took this very long needle, and they put it up my right nostril. And I closed my eyes when I heard it crunch. And then I became very calm. If this is some sort of mental thing that's happening to people, then why aren't the scientists or the doctors or whatever trying to find a cure?
I had an opportunity to meet this lady a few years back. She had left her family. This is Joyce from the video. She left her family. She could no longer be part of all of that. But she was still searching for answers. She ended up in Florida, in my neighborhood. Imagine that. She interrupts my favorite TV show, happened to be the last episode of X-Files. I was pissed. Calls me on the phone. I'm going, I got to take this. So luckily I had the recorder on. Watch it later. And she wants to tell me all. She saw my name in the paper that day because they had an article that they did because I was MUFON and it was about the last show of X-Files. So she saw my name, called me on the phone, says, I want to talk to you. I'm an abduction experiencer, blah, blah, blah. She was all excited about being an experiencer. Well, after about 45 minutes of talking to her, I was catching in her voice, you know, she ain't real happy. So I set up to meet with her. I said, I'd like to talk some more with you. So we set up an appointment to meet at this little restaurant, and we met, and I started sharing with her what I had. And you know what? She freaked. I gotta go. And away she went, out the door. I thought, well, that's that. I won't see Joyce again. But you know what? I did see Joyce again. Want to talk?
I'll try. You have to forgive me, I'm a little nervous in front of crowds, okay?
I got it.
Okay, thank you. He's right, I didn't trust him because I was devout atheist. So I didn't believe in God, didn't want to have any part of that. I did tell Joe that I would read the testimonies that he gave me. I do try and keep my word. Whenever I give my word, I do try and keep it. So I took the testimonies and I left, and on my way home, I stopped at a red light. And I got my first vision. In my vision that I received was a beautiful picture of the world looking from outside it. And then around it were a couple of hands with very long claws, nails, and a face that started to peer from behind it was absolutely hideous. And I knew right then that what he told me was true. I still didn't want to believe that, but I knew. And I knew the powers that I had been dealing with. And I knew I was in deep trouble.
You want me to go from here?
I think I'm okay.
About a week later, Joyce calls me and says, I want what you have. I had the opportunity of leading Joyce to Jesus Christ in my living room. I got her located with my church and my fellowship. We brought her up in the Word. She's become a very powerful warrior. Years and years this video has been running. Every year it runs, sometimes a couple a year. But you know what? They don't show the end of the story. You're looking at the end of the story. This lady has been healed. No more experiences. She's back with her family, working with them. This is the evidence right here. Last year when I did this conference down here at the Pearson, I brought the living evidence up on that stage. Not one researcher would talk to these people because they knew if they did, they'd have to deal with it. Instead, they come after and attack us as being Christians. I haven't said anything about preaching Christianity. I'm here to show you evidence that I have come across, and you need to look at the evidence. If it leads you to dealing with Christianity, so be it. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to show you the most powerful evidence in the UFO realm for the entities we are working with. And it's an unwanted piece of that puzzle. Absolutely unwanted. In closing, I'd like to say, Joyce has got one more thing to say.
It's really hard for me to watch that video. But I'm very glad it plays because I had a woman call me a couple years ago because she saw that video. She looked my name up and called me, and I have talked with her. She is one of God's warriors now. It's awesome. So as long as that plays, I know that it's actually going to help someone, even though I can't stand to watch it myself. I know that it has the power. He's doing it. He'll bring them. I know it. So I guess in a way I'm really glad that's still playing.